It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 3 years since Volkswagen first introduced the smallest member of their SUV family, but today we're actually here in Orlando, Florida at a dealer meeting because this right here is the totally revised 2025 Volkswagen Taos. Let's take a first look. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling changes for the 2025 Taos, I thought I'd pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, this is where I actually was really surprised. Typically, when we see a restyled vehicle, you don't have very many upgrades under the hood, but this is where Volkswagen actually made some pretty nice changes. What you're going to find here is the 1.5-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder turbo. So this is essentially the same size engine as last year. However, Volkswagen has made some nice hardware changes to the piston rings, to the turbo housing, of course, to and adding a particulate air filter as well. And VW says they've increased the power of this model to now 174 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. That's an increase of 16 horsepower versus the prior generation. So that's actually a nice upgrade. This now has more power versus a lot of its competitors, which again, a lot of the competitors come with naturally aspirated engines. It all goes out through one transmission choice now. It's an 8-speed automatic transmission. In the pre-refresh model, you actually had a choice between an 8-speed auto with front-wheel drive or a 7-speed dual clutch. Now all of them, including the all-wheel drive models, come with an 8-speed automatic. So Volkswagen says they did that because the old dual clutch was a little bit jerky and wasn't the most refined transmission to the typical Taos buyer. The company didn't quote any fuel economy figures just yet, but they are claiming that this model should get the same, if not better, gas mileage versus the old dual clutch. That model got around 27 mpg combined, around 31 mpg combined for the front-wheel drive version. We don't have a lot of the final spec figures just yet, but this vehicle should weigh in at around 3,500 pounds. There was no towing capacity on the previous generation. And again, fuel economy, I suspect this should be close to the 30 mpg mark. There is no hybrid available, but this powertrain is definitely a nice option, especially for those of you who prefer something with boosted power. But closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, this model that we're showing you is a new color. It's called Bright Moss Green. And as you can see, I love the fact that VW is showing off a green exterior color. On this SEL trim level, it goes nicely with some of the accents. You can see the front fascia is completely revised. You have some functional air intake openings. There are some nice silver accents here. There's a brand new front fascia, which you can see all of them now come standard with the upgraded projector style LEDs with their adaptive front lighting system. This higher trim also has an LED light bar that kind of goes across the entire front end. Volkswagen's been kind of doing that styling element on some of their newer models, and I think it carries over really well onto this vehicle here. I especially love the new light signature for the headlights. It has an LED turn signal design, as you can see, going with that kind of upscale premium theme. And I really like this exterior color. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the actual exterior color. Moving around the side profile, the Taos is definitely a small SUV, but it's also on the bigger end at around 175.8 inches long with a 105.5 inch long wheelbase. This is around 10 inches shorter versus the current generation Tiguan. So it may be big for the subcompact scale, but it's also around the same size as a Subaru Crosstrek or a Toyota Corolla Cross. You can see wheels have been upgraded across the board. The base trims will have an 18-inch wheel. These are the 19-inch wheels, which are unique to the SEL trim. It's riding on a 235 by 45 R19 tire. Taoses still come with the same suspension setup. You have an independent front, a twist beam, semi-independent at the rear, unless you go for all-wheel drive, which rolls in the multi-link setup, which again is going to give you better handling along with better ride quality. You can see the mirrors. They have a nice body color element. The vehicle itself does not have an integrated turn signal here. You can see also there's a panoramic style sunroof, which is included on this trim. I also appreciate the silver roof rails, which also, give this vehicle a more utilitarian design. I really love the boxy shape of this vehicle. It kind of gives you, again, baby Atlas vibes when you look at this vehicle, along with the new styling updates. You can see the rear of the vehicle, you have completely revised taillight, light clusters with that signature theme here of the full-length LED light bar, along with the red illuminated Volkswagen logo. I love that look over here. It still has the same badging where it kind of spells out Taos boldly. You can see the taillights are full LED. You have LED turn signals, LED reverse lights, LED brake, and taillights themselves. You can see down in the lower fascia, the bumper's been redone. This almost looks like a dual exhaust outlet, but this is actually a fake piece. The actual exhaust is tucked underneath the rear bumper. It's just a single outlet exhaust. So a lot of brands have been going with that trend. I think the rear of this vehicle is very clean, it's very modern, and again, it gives you the same kind of design principle that we first saw on the Volkswagen Atlas. Now you can see a power tailgate sadly is not included even on this top trim. And because this vehicle is so large on the outside, VW did it right with the cargo space. You get around 28 cubic feet of total space with the second row seats up, which actually is a pretty good amount. You can see underneath here, you do get a temporary spare tire and a little bit of additional storage. If you want to fold down these seats back here, which you can kind of do via that little button, it actually expands the cargo to around 60 cubic feet of total space. Now you can see the floor is not completely flat. but this is actually going to give you around 10 to 15 more cubic feet of actual space versus some of its rivals. So it's one of the reasons why the Taos is so popular with a lot of American consumers. So moving on to the interior for the 2025 Taos, you can see on the outside, Volkswagen made some really nice upgrades, and for the interior, for the most part, the design stays the same, although the company did make some nice updates here to kind of make the interior feel a little bit more modern, along with making it feel a little bit brighter as well, especially with the color combinations. Now, that bright moss green exterior color is complemented by this really nice two-tone of a gray and black leatherette material. These seats are also heated and ventilated, so that's a nice touch. You typically don't find ventilated seats in this class. And you also have, I believe, a 12-way or 10-way power adjustment here for the driver's side. Although it looks like there is no memory function. It's actually a 12-way power seat, so that's a really nice touch. The dashboard, you can see, has been redone. Really, the only thing I'm noticing different is this kind of new lighter, soft leather material here on the dash with the contrast stitching, along with the interchangeable ambient lighting. And then this screen over here is still an 8-inch display. However, it has been updated. It's about the same size as the previous generation, but it kind of has that kind of floating tablet look to it. It has, of course, also their latest software, although this is not, again, the bigger screens that you find in some of the other VW products. They go up to like a 15-inch display now. All Taoses are going to come with the digital cockpit instrument cluster. The base trims will have an 8-inch. This is the upgraded 10.25-inch display, which also has interchangeable lighting as well. When you guys adjust the ambient lighting, you can see the steering wheel is their current steering wheel with the new Volkswagen logo. I love the fact that it still has actual buttons here if you want to turn on the heated steering wheel or you want to adjust the screen view there, the adaptive cruise control. The wheel itself has a good amount of adjustability for tilt and telescope, which is good. The door panels, you can see, have a nice soft touch injection molded plastic with some silver painted plastic trim. It's nice and padded here with more leather. You can see the window controls. They feel high quality to the touch. They're also one touch for all four, which is a really great feature that you don't typically find again in this segment. Over on this upper portion, you can see this is a hard touch injection molded plastic. There's also a lot of piano black plastic and silver painted plastic trim. And then you can see the upper trims will get the Climatronic automatic climate control system, which is dual zone. They've expanded the availability of that. They've brought it down to the SE trim. Previously, you had to go for the SEL to get that. The SEL is the only one to give you the heated and cooled seats. You have a wireless phone charging pad here. This controls your 8-speed automatic transmission with an electronic parking brake. Your drive mode selector is here, along with your start, stop, defeat. This center console area pretty much looks the same to me. You have a nice padded center console here. You can see open that up, the glove box has a decent amount of space, and then above me you can see that panoramic glass sunroof. It's one of the biggest sunroofs that I've seen in the segment, so this is going to let in a ton of light. It also lets in, again, air if you want to open up this sunroof to let in some ventilation, which is good. And overall, the seats, they feel comfortable and supportive. So this interior definitely feels like you're driving something that's a little bit elevated, but there's also a good amount of space and great visibility. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of the new Taos, because this is where this vehicle has always been kind of a strong seller in this space. Now, first of all, this seat, like I showed you guys earlier, it does fold down to expand the cargo. And if you're hoping it reclines, sadly, it doesn't recline, but it does, again, give you the ability to fold it down. And then getting back here, this is where I think Volkswagen did a really great job with the Taos, because even though this car is so small or so large on the outside for a subcompact, although technically it's still small, you have a pretty good amount of space back here. Legroom is around 38 inches of legroom. 38 inches is pretty much where I'd have the seat to drive. Tons of foot space. There is a hump here for the middle passenger, but you can see I can easily stretch my legs. I can kind of cross them and get comfortable. This has roughly 6 more inches of legroom versus something like a Toyota Corolla Cross or a Ford Bronco Sport, and around 3 more inches of legroom than a Subaru Crosstrek. So this is one of the reasons why the Taos does so well. Material quality back here is hard touch plastic, but most of the fitting, the fitment here is pretty good. You can see the front has like leather covering this area. The leather is just down here on the rear. Now, this is a really early pre-production model, so things could change, of course, when we go into the production version of this vehicle. There's also a very nice dark blue interior that's available on this trim. Obviously, this is a two-tone gray and black. You can see there's rear seat air vents, which is nice. You have one USB-C charging port here, a little bit of a shelf over here, so it's a dual zone climate instead of a tri-zone like you would see in some bigger Volkswagens. There's also a little fold down armrest here with 2 cup holders, and this looks like it also kind of gives you a little pass through here, so that's kind of a nice little touch if you want to just do like a ski pass or something like that. Above me, you can see the headroom space is pretty good. The sunroof, like I said earlier, comes all the way into the back seat area here, and overall, as you can see, the back seat is a huge selling feature for the Taos, and it's one of the reasons I think why so many Americans are attracted to this vehicle, because it's small on the outside but pretty big on the inside. Now, if you look at Volkswagen from about 8 years ago, you'll remember that the brand was mostly a brand full of cars and hatchbacks, and the company really made some big changes back then. And now they are basically primarily an SUV lineup. In fact, SUVs accounted for about 77% of their total sales in America last year. So it's a huge improvement for VW. The brand actually says that their sales this year have been up around 26%. So that's, again, a big achievement. The Taos is one of those vehicles that has helped them get there, because VW says every year they consistently sell just under 60,000 units. This is technically like the third or the fourth best-selling VW in the lineup. It actually keeps up with the Atlas in terms of actual annual sales. So obviously there's something that the company did right here, and with the changes that they've made, they've essentially kept the formula pretty much the same, but they've refined a lot of things. They've added more power, they've added more refinement to the transmission, they've improved the tech, and they've also improved the look. I love this particular exterior color, of course, in this top SEL trim level, and if you guys are also looking or interested in getting your hands on this vehicle, Volkswagen says they are heading to dealerships by the end of this year. They didn't say when, but we are now in September, so I would assume probably in the next month or two. And pricing hasn't been announced just yet. We're going to find out that as we get closer to the on-sale date. But in case you're wondering, the current Taos is actually pretty affordable. It starts at just under $24,000 for the base S, goes all the way up to around $33,000, $35,000 on the top-of-the-line SEL. So I'd imagine this new version is probably going to get a little bit more expensive, but I also expect it to stay relatively affordable. So I would estimate it to be well under $25,000 going up to the mid $30,000 range, which at the top end it can get pricey, but just keep in mind if you're looking at a fully loaded version of a Crosstrek or a Bronco Sport, for example, or a Corolla Cross Hybrid, those can also be in the mid $30,000 to $40,000 range. So it's just going to matter, of course, on what features that you want. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my very detailed overview on the 2025 Volkswagen Taos. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all in the next video.